Hi, this is the second video I'm recording today. This one is just a bit of catch up. The other one was DLA related because I've had all the judges' notes back because I wanted to kind of understand her decision better. Well, I understood her decision, but I wanted to kind of really dig into why she'd made that decision. So I've got all the notes of what she'd cross-referenced and where she'd got kind of her evidence from and all that kind of thing. But yeah, this was just going to be a catch up, Christmas and New Year, back to school, all those kind of fun things. So Christmas has never really been much fun for Jaden. He's never this is probably the year when he's kind of enjoyed it the most. He's enjoyed the Christmas tree this year. The first time I've ever let them help put it up. Normally I do it when they're in bed. What he didn't like was, I know Christine McGuinness, she always gets a backlash, but yeah, this is the first year they've ever had a Christmas tree. The McGuinnesses this is, and yeah, when she'd put about not being able to take it down and all those kind of things, and people would be like, third world problems or whatever. But Jaden was really quite distressed. He was crying. He was like, I'm going to miss the Christmas tree. I did get him to help me to take all the baubles off of that kind of thing, but he was not impressed at all. And then I let him keep out a few other things like his big Santa and things like that. We kept for a few extra days because he was devastated that it was over. Because it's all just transition, isn't it? And yeah, so Christmas being over, he comes across as being really spoiled and selfish, and it's not in the slightest, but yeah, it signals, I suppose, no more presents and all those kind of things. So yeah, this is the first Christmas that I would say has not been that stressful. Last Christmas, the biggest drama. He needs to know what he's getting, basically. So last Christmas, he'd got his heart absolutely set on this. I think it was blue. Yeah, we'd been into Halfords. He'd sat in this riding Audi, and it was all great, and that was exactly what he wanted. And then his nan texted me. She was like, "Oh yeah, I've got one. It's red." And I was like, "Uh-oh," because he sounds like he's being really, really ungrateful. But he didn't ask for a red Audi. He asked for a blue Audi, and that's like, it's just rigidities and all those kind of things. It's not him being ungrateful, but when he saw his red Audi, I'd already explained to him, and I had to say to him, "Yes, you are getting an Audi, but it's not going to be blue." And he was devastated. So like he loves his red Audi now. He would never ever give it. He'll be an adult. He'll probably never give that car away because he's obsessed with it. But at the time, it wasn't the one that he wanted because he wanted a blue one. It's exactly the same. It's just red. This year, his biggest thing. I mean, I don't know. Maybe last year I think was probably the first year that he really unwrapped any presents. Before that, Ella used to kind of like whirlwind through all of her own, and then she would do his because he had no interest, and he would just sit and look blankly, and you kind of have to unwrap things and hand them to him, be like, "Oh look, you got this," and he'd just be like, not like bothered in the slightest. This year, complete flip. I mean, he had anxieties around it all, and I kind of like told him most of what he was getting just because, not trying to ruin the magic of Christmas, but to him it's an anxiety of what's going to be under the Christmas tree, what am I going to get, and all those it's just easier to just kind of almost tell him. But still, every present he unwrapped, Ella is still the whirlwind. She's like, everything's unwrapped, and then she's like, where's my get, where's my getting? Jaden, every single thing, it could be like a £1 little Hot Wheels car, and he's like, oh my god, wow, look what I've got, mummy, look, it's amazing. Yeah, completely different to how he's been any other year. I didn't wrap all of his presents because it's a fine line. He doesn't understand the concept of. He basically doesn't like anything that's just a waste of time. Like, he doesn't understand why would you wrap presents? Like, just hand it to me, just give it to me. So I wrapped probably like half of his presents because at the same time it would have been overwhelming to him if he walked in and they were all just in a big pile and he could see everything at once. So probably half of them were wrapped, half of them weren't, just so that like, yeah, a balance. Yeah, so that was Christmas Day. It was pretty good. Then Boxing Day, he had like a second Christmas Day with his dad and like all that side of the family, and again, like, it was pretty good. We've not had too many huge meltdowns or anything. Exhausted by the time we got back, but yeah, Christmas in general, probably the calmest, most stress-free Christmas that we've ever had. He's madly in love with his dog now, and anytime if the dog poos on the carpet or something and I'm like shouting at the dog, he gets all like defensive of the dog, and he's like, "You're making my dog sad." And like, your dog made me sad because he pooed on the carpet. Like, come on, see it from mummy's point of view. He's like, "Oh, but we still love you, Hugo. It's okay. We do still love you," and that kind of thing. Like, it's so cute. And when we go out, I kind of say like, because I have to shut him in one room, and I do sort of say to the dog like, we do love you. And Jane will make this great big thing of sort of cuddling him and saying, "We're gonna miss you so much, Hugo, and it's so sad. I don't want to have to leave you." And yeah, it's really, really cute. And I think, oh no, I think I maybe mentioned it on a post on his page. I don't know if I actually mentioned it, but walking wise, he's not by any means an autism dog. He's not a service dog, anything like that. But I can see like huge differences in Jade, because Jaden, he was saying when he first got his rabbit, he was still not talking. He wasn't following any kind of instructions and that kind of thing. And he used to come down every morning and he used to want to like feed the rabbit, stroke the rabbit, all those kind of things. And he's the same with the dog. He'll let him out to the toilet. He'll give him a treat and all those kind of things. And then when it comes to walking, he will walk so much better. Like, I rarely let Jaden walk like off his reins, and if I do, obviously he's like gripping my hand or like I'm gripping his wrist. If we're just walking the dog like around our estate where there's like not many cars or anything, he can hold the dog. I'm holding the dog's lead, but he'll hold the dog's lead with me rather than me having to kind of like grip onto him, because he's focused on the dog. So I don't think he gets so like overwhelmed by everything else going on, which can obviously go one of two ways. He either goes hyper or he like drops to the floor, refuses to walk, all those kind of. We've not had that whilst we've been walking the dog, so he has been doing really well with that. What was my other point about the dog? Oh, and if he is, again, like, he's not a service dog, and I wouldn't want him to feel like he's a working dog or anything, but if Jaden's really, really hyper, if he's upset, all those kind of things, and the dog happens to be sat next to us, I will either hold Jaden's hand and kind of like stroke the dog, but in like a quite a calm, repetitive, because obviously if he's really, really hyper, he would struggle to stroke him in like an appropriate way. Does that make sense? He'd be like stroking him at 100 miles an hour, or he'd stroke him backwards, or you know, that kind of thing. But I will get Jaden's hand into a rhythm and just say like, calm down, like stroke the dog, focus on the dog, and it does help to calm him down. So yeah, it's definitely a good thing getting the dog, as much of a pain in the bum he can be. He's yeah, a good addition to the family. Back to school, it's always a fun one. Ella wasn't very well yesterday, so amazingly, with no warning, we got up in the morning, obviously didn't realise we were going to be poorly. Jaden went to school with his friend and his friend's mum, and he walked there perfectly. He was happy getting ready. He went in. She picked him up as well, which again he wasn't really prepared. I'd messaged the teacher, and the teacher kind of let him know about an hour before they finished that it wasn't going to be Mummy picking him up. So he walked back really well with his friend, just held his friend's mum's hand. Came home, there was no kind of like, you don't love me, because that's his normal things. That means you don't love me, you didn't pick me up, all those kind of things. He was fine. He kind of understood that Ella had been poorly. Yeah, he's got speech and language in today, which, yeah, that was a little bit of a, I stupidly, you know, when you try and explain something to them, and I probably didn't explain it. I was trying to explain what a speech therapist was. Obviously he went to Waylack before, which was the speech and language school, and there his speech therapist he saw weekly. So I said, should we like Helen? And then I regretted it the second I said it, because he was like, so it'll be Helen. I'm like, no, it's not Helen. It's not going to be Helen. It's going to be somebody. So I just meant like the activities wise and that kind of thing. It will be like what Helen used to do with him. But he took it as, it's Helen. And I was like, no, it's not Helen. So yeah, he got quite upset about that. He said they better be dressed up as Helen, which I'm not really sure what that even means. But he said if they're not dressed up as Helen, I'm going to be punching myself in the face, which self-injuring and like threatening to self-injure is a fairly new thing. And I don't know whether it's something he's just kind of picked up through school, or whether it's, I mean, obviously it's an autistic trait, but I don't know whether it's where he's picked it up from, because I don't know how you would just learn to suddenly start threatening to hurt yourself. Or even worse, like he will sometimes say, no, he can be happy, and then like switches, and then he'll say, you just want me to die. And it can be because he doesn't cope well with obviously being told off or anything like that. So slightest little criticism, it goes full like, from like, oh, everything's fine, all of a sudden it's, you just want me to die, you don't even want me to be here. So yeah, quite dramatic. And then punched himself in the head. He's only actually punched himself in the head a few occasions, but he'll threaten it daily now. It's a threat of, if I'm not happy with something, if something's different, because obviously it's not, how do you explain it? It's the difference between obviously a meltdown and a tantrum. A tantrum has a selfish goal. Does that make sense? So a tantrum is, I want that toy, I want my own way on something, that kind of thing. A meltdown is more, it's a build up, or it's a, how do I explain it? It's not a goal orientated thing as such. So Helen being Helen, that's not him being spoiled, that's him being rigid. They're not things that are in Well, obviously it's not his control because that's what a tantrum is too. But yeah, there's a significant difference between like the meltdowns and a tantrum and yeah, the kind of like the not being able to cope with change and all those kind of things. They're not yeah, they're not selfish. Yeah, so when he's starting to punch himself in the face, it's not if I can't have a chocolate bar or those kind of things. It's changes that he can't cope with. That was a really roundabout way of explaining that, but I hope you kind of get that. Yeah, because in general, he is not a selfish child in the slightest. You know, he'd share like his last bit of chocolate with you. He is the nicest child. When it comes to toys and things, he can sound quite selfish because of the way he kind of like is so fixated on things. Like, oh, we did have a episode, if that's even the word. So we had a birthday party to go to on Sunday, and stupidly, I will remember to never ever buy another child a car ever again, because I'd bought this child. It wasn't an amazing one, but it was like a cheap remote control car. And of course, as soon as I said to Jaden, "Oh, this is for George," no, it's for Jaden. I'm like, no. It's like, you need to go and buy me one right now. I'm like, no. You've had like a million cars for Christmas and everything else. A huge, yeah. Wasn't going to take him to the party because he was that distressed about it all. I was just like, this is going to be a living hell even taking him. But yeah, that's just, again, they're not things that he can help. He's not intentionally being selfish or anything else. It's just the way his brain works, I guess. Yeah, so at the party there were a couple of occasions where he got quite upset. He thought he'd hurt another child, which I don't really know what went on. He came running over to me and he said, "No one likes me, nobody wants me here," and just burst into like hysterical tears. I was like sobbing that much that he couldn't talk. And then when I got out of him what had happened, it sounded like another child, which happened to be a girl, had said she didn't want to play with him, or he couldn't join in with their game, or something along those lines. So he said, I punched her, and then he felt ever so bad because he felt bad because she said it, but then he also felt bad because he'd hit her and he knew he shouldn't have hit her. But I was like, look, she's fine, she's not crying or anything, she's absolutely fine. What else did he get upset about? I can't remember what the other things were, but yeah, it was a difficult party. Recently, parties in general have been not plain sailing, but have been a lot easier. This one wasn't necessarily that easy. He was quite on edge. There were quite a few times sort of saying nobody wants to play with me. Oh, the other one was the opposite. A little boy, they're only 4. A lot of them have social difficulties, that kind of thing. So a little boy was just kind of following him around, wanting to play with him. So Jaden was running. So the little boy sort of thinking it's a game, chasing him, and then Jaden's come over really distressed, saying, "I don't know why he keeps following me." I was like, I think he just wants to play with you. But yeah, Jade doesn't always either understand that or want them to play with him. It's that difficult balance of he'll say he wants to have friends, but then at the same time, when children actually try and play with them, he doesn't necessarily want them to. Yeah, it depends on if they want to play with cars, he'll play with them all day long. If they want to play tag and anything else, then it doesn't interest him, so therefore like he doesn't want to do it. But yeah, that was a quick 13-minute roundup of what's been going on over Christmas and New Year. All in all, it's not been bad at all. He's back at school. He's happy at school. We are waiting for meeting to be confirmed. Obviously, the teacher had OT and Umbrella Pathway questionnaires. I think they're like big forms with a lot of questions and things that he needed to fill in over there. Hopefully he's done that. Meeting wise, yeah, what supports the place going forward is just an ongoing battle, which feels like a bit of a losing one, but we'll get there eventually. So yeah, there will be meetings with school in the next couple of weeks. Other than that, I will speak to you all soon. Bye.